Stinker, how are ya? Put my mic on, I guess. So, here we are, December 18th. Why? Mr. Magoo. Get a few more on here, get rolling. Oh my, I got notifications coming in here. What are they saying? Not much. Okay. There's Jev. You got a notification right on. And there's Lynn from all the way from Hitchcock, Texas, and Jev in California. Gee, now the mechanic's on here, I got a question for you, Jev. I'm sure you're familiar with F-150s. And I've got an issue with mine, I can't figure it out. Maybe you can give me a little diagnostic on here. We'll give it a shot, okay? Okay, the F-150, it's a 210 5.4 liter. I have problems with lights on the dash, radio, clock, temperature, light goes out, thermometer, light goes out. Sometimes it comes on, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the chime, when I shut the engine off and go to get out, the chime goes off. I don't know what it's for. I close the door, start the truck up, shut it off, and it's okay. I'm leaning towards the circuit board, but I could be completely wrong. Have you run into that before? It's driving me crazy. I'm worried it's going to shut down, not start up. I've seen maybe ignition, but I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. Faye, Reverend Jim Jones. Right on. We got 16 people on here. Emma, Plant Boy. It does it consistently except for the chimes. That's intermittent. It's rare, but it does it. The rest of it is consistent. So, what else we got here? Sorry folks, we're just doing a little troubleshooting on my truck. It's been giving me an awful hard time. And I know somebody's going to say, the problem is it's a Ford. Well, fire away. Whatever you think. Let's see. What else we got here? Anyways, quite a crew. Bill C-11, censorship. That boy sent a picture of your doggies. Right on. Bill C-11, censorship bill being pushed. It's passed the House. It's into the Senate. Not good. I'm reading from my favorite, excuse me, my favorite news source here, the Druthers News, the real news. You won't get it anywhere else except from Druthers. You haven't run across that, eh? In sunny California? Okay. We'll move on with this. There's a chilling law that gives government control over what you can say online. Not good. Canada's Online Streaming Act, Bill C-11, is one of several recent attempts by Western governments to crush online speech while claiming that, oh, hey, they support free expression. The bill is being pushed by Canadian Heritage Minister, the greasy little Pablo Rodriguez, a politician who believes that unregulated speech erodes the foundations of democracy. So, if they can't control the speech, it's going to ruin democracy. I don't think that makes sense. That's liberal logic. But, of course, it has full support of Prime Minister Justine, world leader, who previously said freedom of expression isn't freedom to hate. Trudeau regime first attempted to pass a version of this bill in 2020. See, 2020 there was a lot happening, and he tried to sneak that through. He's a sneaky critter. Bill C-10 was what it was then. It failed. Okay, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. So it failed in 2021 after a mass pushback over the way it attempted to censor our online speech. Subsequently, Pierre Poilievre, the current leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, who is serving as Member of Parliament in 2021, warned critics of the bill to make sure that we're ready the next time Trudeau and his team come for our freedom of expression. So, then just 1 year later, Trudeau and his team did just that by resurrecting Bill C-10, renaming it Bill C-11. The bill gives Canada's communications regulator, the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, CRTC, increased power to regulate programs. A definition that applies to almost all forms of audio-visual content that are uploaded by Canadian citizens. It will empower the CRTC to set content promotion and demotion rules for Canadian content and require platforms to make financial contributions towards Canadian content. Hey, Kathy MB's back. Good to see you. Okay, so what they're doing, YouTube, Google, probably Twitter, I would think, would jump on board. And they're speaking out against the Trudeau regime. So we'll see how this plays out. But as with most censorship bills, Bill C-11 uses freedom of expression as a red herring and claims that the bill will be applied in a manner that is consistent with the freedom of expression and journalistic, creative and programming independence enjoyed by broadcasting undertakings. That means CBC is going to do pretty good on this, and Global and CTV. However, the bill is so restrictive that even censorship-loving YouTube has warned that it will harm creators, and creators are considering leaving the country if it passes. Well, I'm not going to leave the country, but I'm going to end up switching platforms. I have uploaded videos onto Rumble, just a handful in the past. I thought I had a channel on there. Apparently I don't. I've got videos uploaded but no channel. So I'm creating a channel on Rumble. When I get it set up over the Christmas here, I'll email the link out. And I need 51 subscribers to do a live stream. So if we can get 51 subscribers together, we can start live streaming on Rumble and be able to have free speech. I'll run it through an ISP anonymizer. I'll probably come in through, hey, you never know, maybe Texas or Florida. I'll use one of those maybe to come in through the back door into Canada. Terrible how we have to do that and switch a platform to another platform, but it's not with the censorship with YouTube. They're not doing the censorship on the Canadian content, but they're doing it on other stuff that I can't say on here. So that's what I'm looking at anyways, is routing it over to Rumble, and we'll get set up on there, and then we can talk about anything we want to, and nobody can do anything about it. When pushing Bill C-11, Rodriguez has implied that it won't apply to user-generated content. Can you believe a liberal? Can you believe a politician? By repeating the phrase, platforms are in, users are out. However, the actual text of the bill gives the CRTC vast powers to decide whether almost any piece of user-generated content uploaded by Canadian users falls under the scope of the bill. Very dangerous. Of course, if you're a tyrant, there are no boundaries to the order in council that he can pass, as with the grab that he's trying to push through on us. C-21. Section 4.2 of the bill states CRTC may make regulations prescribing programs in respect to which this act applies. So they can use their discretion to just, make up any regulations they want as they go. Whatever they're told to. They'll do what they're told. They're an arm of the government. Much like the lip service the Commission has given times to policy directions, CRTC is free under the bill to confirm that it considered the factors in setting the regulations. They're just going to say, well, we considered it, but we're going to change the regulations anyways, and we're going to do it. Don't worry, Justine. We'll get this right for you. The bill itself empowers the CRTC to indirectly censor any content that falls under the scope of Bill C-11 by imposing conditions on Canadian apps, social media platforms, and websites. One of the most controversial conditions that the CRTC can impose is a condition related to the presentation of programs and programming services for selection by the public. Including the showcasing and the discoverability of Canadian programs and programming services, such as original French language programs. This condition lets the CRTC decide whether content that falls within its scope should be boosted or demoted on Canadian apps, platforms, and websites. According to Geist, this condition could result in platforms that host user-generated content being forced to demote content and apply warning labels to a wide range of unlawful content. So I'll have to put a warning label. Warning, Justin. It's going to hurt you. It's going to be mean. While most of the discussion around Bill C-11 is focused on how it will impact user-generated content on social media, it's actually much wider because it doesn't contain any provisions that limit its scope to just social media platforms. An early government memo on Bill C-10, Bill C-11 predecessor, acknowledged that the Canadian government wanted to target audiobook services such as Audible, podcast apps such as Pocket Casts and Stitcher, music streaming services such as Apple Music and Amazon Music, sports streaming services such as DAZN and MLB TV, video streaming services such as Netflix and Disney+, niche streaming services such as BritBox, websites such as the BBC and the TVO, gaming platforms such as PlayStation, home workout apps, and more. They want to censor all that stuff. Are we in a free country anymore? No, we're not. We haven't been in a free country since 2016. It was going downhill before that, but man, did we take a big skid to the bottom when this clown show got elected in there. But we know it wasn't quite right. Both times, both elections were very, very sketchy. A lot of interference from outside of the country. Even if the CRTC doesn't use its Bill C-11 powers to push for the demotion of lawful content, any presentation or discoverability conditions that are imposed on apps, platforms, or websites are still likely to limit the reach of independent Canadian creators and boost mainstream media outlets. That means Yahoo for CBC, CTV, Global. That's what they're pushing. We know that. According to Geist, the current rules for determining whether a piece of content is certified Canadian content are geared toward well-established productions that fall outside the digital-first world. And it's unclear whether content from independent, digital-first creators even qualifies as certified Canadian content. Sure, most of us won't. I'm going to have to change the name of the channel. This means that content from large Canadian media outlets is much more likely to be selected for prioritization when any BC-11 presentation and discoverability conditions are imposed. Geist argues that the impact will be incredibly damaging to digital-first creators who may find their content effectively deprioritized in their own country, based on Canadian legislation as implemented by the CRTC. Even if independent creator content is selected for prioritization, the way Bill C-11's presentation and discoverability conditions force Canadian content on users who aren't necessarily interested in the content is likely to result in lower engagement rates. These reduced engagement rates will result in algorithms recommending Canadian content less frequently outside of Canada and ultimately reduce the reach of independent Canadian content in non-Canadian countries. Yeah. Very, very controlled. I think there's a lot of jealous dictators around the world looking at Canada thinking, why didn't we think of that? This Justin Trudeau, he's amazing. He's a genius. He's controlling the whole country of Canadians. And he's lying, and enough Canadians believe him. Maybe other dictators will follow suit now. Okay, back to the article. So, this not only does the bill prevent Canadians from being able to fully control and customize their feeds, it also makes it more time-consuming for them to find non-Canadian content. Even if Canadian users, we're not going to be able to get stuff from out of the country because they don't want it to come in. So we got to work around that. We need a workaround. Even if Canadian users take explicit steps to seek out non-Canadian content, the requirements of Bill C-11 will continuously push a predetermined amount of Canadian content into their feeds. That's what they did with radio and TV here. And they pushed out the U.S. and so now the internet's worldwide. It's World Wide Web. So I mean, they'll be pushing out countries from around the world. We're not going to be able to get content from the other countries around the world if they say anything against Justine. In addition to this, Bill C-11 could reduce the number of apps, platforms, and websites that are available to Canadians because of the high cost of compliance may result in some companies pulling their services out of Canada. Furthermore, Canadians will likely have to pay more to access subscription-based apps, platforms, and websites that fall under the scope of Bill C-11 as the affected companies pass on the cost of compliance to users. Of course the cost is going to go up here. This is Canada. Bill C-11's discoverability conditions could create privacy issues for independent Canadian creators because the only practical way for these creators to verify that they are Canadian would be to hand over sensitive personal information. Another way to collect information on Canadians. Anybody that speaks out, Trudy will have all the information on them. It's an attack on anybody that doesn't agree with them. Canada's Federal Privacy Commissioner, Philippe Dufresne, admitted this would be the case during his appearance before a standing Senate Committee on Transport and Communications. Discoverability conditions could nonetheless potentially require the adaptation of existing algorithms that rely on personal information or the analysis of personal information to determine whether user-generated content is Canadian. There's just another short little piece here. Dufresne told the committee, these privacy restrictions aren't limited to just algorithms. The more personal data companies hold, the more devastating the privacy impact is on their users if there's ever a data breach. This is empowering the mega corporations. Most large apps, platforms, and websites have significant data harvesting capabilities, utilize advanced algorithms, and generate billions of dollars in revenue. These resources make it relatively easy for these platforms to comply with Bill C-11's requirements to identify Canadian content, prioritize Canadian content in a way that's compliant with CRTC orders, and make their financial contributions towards the production of Canadian content. However, smaller platforms with those rudimentary technology and less revenue will find it harder to abide by the requirements of Bill C-11. Some may even find the cost of compliance to be so prohibitive that they're left with no choice but to pull out of the Canadian market altogether. Potential privacy issues associated with Bill C-11 could also harm smaller platforms such that are attempting to differentiate from their big tech counterparts by offering a more private experience for their users. These platforms could be forced to start collecting personal information to comply with the bill's discovery conditions, and in doing so lose their competitive advantage over the tech giants. Despite the major problems with Bill C-11, it has already made its way through the Canadian House of Commons and is on the verge of passing the Senate. However, there are some members of the Senate that oppose the bill and hope to kill it before it becomes law. Well, I'm old enough to remember when Canadians had rights and freedoms. That's just history now, isn't it? That's all over with. We have a tyrant I see Christine Anderson, I believe is her name. She's the member of the European Union Parliament that spoke up against Trudeau at the European Union, I think, was where it happened. She stood up and said, I will not share the same space with Justin Trudeau. She called him a dictator. So she's coming here. She's coming to Calgary, Toronto, Montreal on a speaking tour. The world is going to be watching her. It's going to be broadcast worldwide. So she's going to be letting the world know exactly what's going on in Canada with this government. So I see Alberta spoke out against C-21. I've seen the comment earlier on here, and they're not going to have any part of it. We'll see if the Alliance of the Four stick together. That's Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and New Brunswick. We'll see how that goes. If the other provinces were just blowing smoke, or if they are actually going to be part of it. So I don't know if it's going to work with Rumble. Maybe that's going to be so controlled too. It is Canadian. They're probably going to be under the gun or behind the gun or whatever too. They're going to be a target, put it that way. So we'll have to do a workaround somehow. I'm not sure about Odyssey. I'm not like the platform. It's really hard to work with, I find. But we'll see what we can do. I'm looking at the Absurdity Observer here now. The Absurdity Observer. The creator of Druthers News, Sean Jason. Sean created a good thing when he started Druthers News. Creator of Druthers News, Sean Jason, is going to trial for the crime of committing journalism during stay-at-home orders. On February 13th, 2021, while live streaming a Freedom Rally in Queen's Park, Toronto, he was charged for attending a protest during stay-at-home orders. Sean's court date is set for January 23rd, 2023. Still dragging these people into court. How insane is that? That's vindictive. All this stuff has been proven to be a bunch of garbage, and they're still pushing it here in Canada. Now, I see Google, YouTube, they've backed off a bit. There's videos up there now that would not have been allowed just a few months ago. They would have gotten a strike. They would have been banned and kicked off and all kinds of punishments. They're staying up now. They're actually staying up. So I'm still very cautious about what I say on here right now. I got one strike early in the game. As soon as this stuff started out, I put up a video there, and it was basically poo-pooing this garbage that they were putting out. They seem to be buffering for some reason. Am I buffering on your end too, folks? Anyways, that was in the past, and now this is the present. We don't know what they're up to, if they're going to do it or not. Very strange. I have excellent connection, and I'm showing that I'm frozen and buffering on my end. It's lagging there, eh, Phil? I wonder why that is. I'm going to have to look at some of the settings. I can't change them in midstream now. See, now I'm getting a notification. That should straighten itself out here pretty soon, I hope. We'll maybe give it a chance to settle down before I carry on. Yeah, it's buffering, yep. I don't know why. I've checked my speed. Speed is good. So, I see I'm froze up. Circle of the Black Sun. Yeah, no kidding, eh? Now I'm just getting that stupid stare I got when I'm just sitting there not moving, froze up. Seems to have froze solid. Let's see. I don't know if there's anything I can do. Let me check on it. Open widget. Open the widget. Okay, you guys are going to experience buffering, it says. Well, I know that. Dang it. Not much I can do about it. Don't think I can change anything here. No. Nothing I can do there. Okay. How's the audio? Is the audio lagging too, or is it not too bad? If the audio is okay, I can carry on. Seems we go through this every week. Frozen like a chicken. Audio's good? Well, did you know they're making Mr. Potato Head gender neutral? You must have heard that. Hasbro announced they're dropping the Mr. from the logo and overall brand to promote gender equality and inclusion just in time for Christmas. So the little folks can get a Ms., Zija, they, them potato head now. Let's confuse the kids a little more. They're destroying the generations. G20 has already begun preparing for the next dose. November 15th and 16th, 2022, leaders of the G20 met in Bali to discuss, among other globalist topics, the importance of the DVAX passports to facilitate seamless international travel during times of health crises. These are all absurd. Effective November 15th, the County of Windsor, Essex, Ontario is once again requiring face coverings in all country-run facilities. Richard Smith, no sound in Nova Scotia. It's pretty quiet down in Nova Scotia, is it? I think it must be on your end. New study with hundreds of thousands of participants, all veterans, published in Nature, titled Association Between Vitamin D and Supplementation and the C19 Infection and Mortality, finds that participants given vitamin D3 had a 33% reduction in mortality. Benefit was dose dependent, with those prescribed higher doses receiving a greater benefit in terms of reduced infection rates and reduced mortality rates in those prescribed lower doses. That's funny, because back in 2020, dietitians of Canada advised the public that you cannot boost your immune system through diet. No specific food, supplement, or natural health product will prevent you from catching the the flu. Do not spread misinformation. Well, that's certainly changed, hasn't it? Nobody's on here. With record-breaking RSV levels being found in the kids this year, some doctors are blaming the lockdown's effect on preventing children's immune systems from exercising. No kidding. We knew that. While others are blaming the shot itself. The FDA's EUA amendment for the Moderna's, I can't say that, shot in 2 to 5 year olds stated that their trial found that events of pneumonia reported by 0.3% and 0% of the I'll say placebo recipients. I can't say the M word with the R and the N with it, and then the A, right? Results found in the 6 to 11-year-olds, the RSV was found in 0.3% of the groups of the shots and 0 in the placebo group. What? Let me run over that again. Similar results were found in the 6 to 11. RSV was found in 0.3 of the group with shots and 0 in the ones without the shots. Despite this knowledge, the CDC and Health Canada continued to recommend shots to the kiddies. Sick bastards, aren't they? Emergencies Act hearing reveals that Canadian Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, David Lametti, proposed using the Army and even Army tanks to retake the streets of Ottawa, a stark contrast to the hot tubs and bouncy castles the Freedom Convoy brought in. Yeah, I don't think that would have been necessary. Maybe they could have just went out and talked to the people. Maybe joined in, had a barbecue burger or a hot dog or something, and listened to the people and see what. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking under a real democracy, not a dictatorship. Excuse me. I forgot there for a minute where I was. Prime misinformation Justin Trudeau lies under oath during the Emergencies Act hearing, claiming he never called the ones without the shots names. In September 2021 interview, Trudeau told a Quebec television station that, people that didn't get the shots don't believe in science and are often misogynistic and racist. But I would have been disappointed if he didn't lie. I mean, I was sitting here right on the edge of my seat just waiting to hear all the lies, right? And he didn't disappoint. Neither did Freeland. Neither did Lametti. They all lied their asses off while they were on there. That's what they had planned, and that's what they did. Video of Ontario's Chief Officer of Health, Dr. Kieran Moore, partying without a face covering, emerges days after asking the province to cover up their faces. I don't know, folks. These people are... they deserve what they need. They need psychological help. And the only way they can get it is to lock them in a room, called lockdown. I guess we'll call it lockdown. I think they call it a cell, but we'll just call it lockdown for them. Then maybe they can sit there and watch our videos all day. Drives them completely nuts. PFI ZERS President of International Markets, Janine Small, admits at a European Parliament hearing that they never tested to see if the shots prevented transmission before it entered the market because they had to move at the speed of science to understand what is happening in the market, and we had to do everything at risk. Wow. Damn the torpedoes. Throw the risk to the wind and just give everybody those shots. Everybody except Trudeau and Lametti and top politicians, and right? Well, it was previously known that the participants were never subjected to regular testing, unlike much of the general population, were the guinea pigs, who was subjected to regular testing for their jobs and travel. This is the first time this information has made it to the mainstream. Yeah, they're sick. They're dangerous. They're dangerous to human health. New report by the Agri-Food Analytics Lab in Dalhousie University finds that Loblaw's profits in the first half of 2022, this is just the first half, mind you, beat its previous best results by $180 million. Equivalent to about an extra $1 million a day, the research found. Additionally, Loblaw's 2022 third quarter report reveals the company made $556 million in profits. in the previous 3 months, up 167%. Since the same time period in 2019, pre-C19. Loblaw is the same company that received $12 million of our tax money for new freezers back in April 2020. When everything was in its heyday, let's sneak this through. Loblaws has also previously admitted to taking part in an industry-wide 14-year conspiracy to fix the price of bread. More wonderful people. All in sync with Justine. A new study titled Fertility Declines Near the End of the C19 farce finds that there was a 14% decline in births in 2022 compared to the previous year. Researchers noted there is no association of the fertility trend with changes in unemployment, infection rates, or the C19 deaths. Huh? There's no association. Well, dead people don't procreate. So that's, I don't know why that's in there. However, there is a strong association between the onset of the programs and the fertility decline 9 months after onset. So after the shots, fertility decline, boom. Who would have thought? Oh, I think they were warned about that, aren't they? Yeah. Fertility and birth effects were never studied in the trials. Studies specifically required males to refrain from donating sperm and be abstinent from heterosexual intercourse with a female of childbearing potential. And females of childbearing potential were only allowed to be a part of the study if using an acceptable contraceptive method. Very disturbing, this stuff. Very disturbing. Apple releases... I don't believe this. I do believe it. It's just insane. Apple releases a pregnant man emoji. You know, for all the pregnant men out there, right? They got their own emoji now. This is not going to fly, folks. This is going to come crashing down. This whole mess that they've created, it's going to blow up on them, and it's going to blow up big. They know it. That's why C21 is out there right now. That's why he wants his grubby little hands on all our equipment. And I think he's running scared. That's what happens with dictators. They start pushing harder and harder and harder, and finally that's it. They can't get enough control, and the people say, that's enough, we've had it. A new study by world-renowned epidemiologist Dr. Ioannidis titled Age-Stratified Infection Fatality Rate of C19 in the Non-Elderly Informed from the Pre-Shots. National seroprevalence studies found across 31 systematically identified national seroprevalence studies in the pre-shot era, the median infection fatality rate of C19 is estimated to be 0.035% for people aged 0 to 59 years and 0.095% for those aged 0 to 69. 100 times lower than what the WHO announced the fatality rate was back in early 2020. Note, the infection fatality rate is defined as the number of people who died while having recently tested positive for the C19, divided by the total number of people who had C19 in any given population. They're just fudging the numbers, right? Van City has become the first Canadian financial institution to offer a credit card that calculates the user's carbon footprint. Don't think I'll be applying for that. Stick with the cash, folks. Stick with the cash. They don't like that. We got to keep it circulating. Starting in 2023, Van City Visa card holders will be able to track their estimated carbon emissions from their credit card purchases. All right, so all these woke clowns can watch and track their estimated carbon emissions from their credit card purchases. So they'll go, I don't know, I can't buy that this month because my carbon emissions credit score is going to be too high, and I got to help save the planet. I'm responsible, and all you other people aren't using one, so you're going to destroy the whole world. That's what we're dealing with. Carbon Counter will allow Vancity card holders to compare their monthly carbon footprint to the national average and provide advice on how to reduce their carbon footprint. Isn't that what a cute idea? Yeah, that's all just smiles and giggles. Emails from early 2020 newly obtained via the Freedom of Information Act request show NIAID Director, our favorite doctor, Fauci, was deeply concerned about the possibility of a lab leak at the time. One email, J. Sirimi, Ferrar of the Wellcome Trust, funders of the Gain of Function Research in Wuhan, sent an email to Fauci about the worrying levels of biosecurity at the lab, referring to it as the Wild West. Another email shows Fauci floated the idea of alerting the FBI about a concern regarding the furin cleavage site on the spike. And then the, boy, this is getting sketchy, protein of the, 19, a clear signature of lab-altered virus. After calling it a conspiracy theory, one of the world's top medical journals, The Lancet, finally admits C19 could have come from a lab leak. Well, who'd have thunk it, eh? In their new article titled The Lancet Commission on Lessons for the Future from the C19 Demic Dose, CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky has tested positive for the C flu with symptoms less than 1 month after receiving her 5th shot. The bivalent. Yeah. It's an insane world. We're witnessing social engineering of children in Canadian schools. Oh yeah. Yeah. You know it. They're being totally brainwashed. It's an indoctrination camp. Taylor, apparently there's already a MasterCard, I think, in BC that tracks that. I think you're right, too. I've seen something about that. Might have been on Rebel. The National Citizens Inquiry into Canada's response to the C19 fiasco. Citizens Group, and this is good, Citizens Group chaired by Preston Manning announced plans for a national citizens inquiry into Canada's response to the C19. Canada's federal, provincial, and municipal governments' responses to the C19 were of an unprecedented nature and magnitude. The policy, legal, economic, and health authority interventions into the lives of Canadian families, businesses, and communities were, and to a great extent, remain significant. I think that's putting it pretty mildly. I would say they were brutal, would be the way I would describe them. Of course, China was a little harder. They kept it on a little longer. Although these mandates are still in the books. Trudeau didn't get rid of them. They're just on hold. Some people think, oh no, that's all over with. No, it's not. No. They're still pushing us. These interventions impacted the physical and mental health, civil liberties, fundamental freedoms, livelihoods, and overall social and economic well-being of all Canadians. I was just saying the other day, people that lost their jobs because they wouldn't jump through the hoops and get these shots weren't allowed to draw the EI. So they lost everything. Zero income instantly. And then that meat bag up there, that piece of crap in Ottawa says, well, all you got to do is get out and get your shots like I tell you. Yeah, just do what you're told and don't ask any questions. It doesn't work that way, Trudy. Disgusting. Number of deaths business bankruptcy, social impacts due to isolation, the fracturing of families and communities, and the erosion of fundamental charter rights merits a thorough and comprehensive investigation. I got to say something here before I forget. I mentioned last week about ambulances. I think it was last week I mentioned about ambulances. So many ambulances going by. And somebody said, well, I got a comment saying they're drug overdoses. No, they're not. We have drug overdoses here, but this is out of the ordinary. These ambulances are going steady. Now, I was helping a woman, doing a little job at her place, and she said her blood pressure was through the roof. She had to go to the emergency. So I went to pick up a couple items. I come back and she was home. I thought, well, that was quick. Nobody gets into the emergency and out that fast. Wonder what happened. So she said, well, and she works there. She works at the hospital. And she said, well, I went in and I was sitting at Emerge and they wouldn't give me blood pressure pills. Her prescription had expired. She hadn't got it refilled. She hadn't got around to it yet. It just expired. They said they'd give her 2 pills, but the doctor had to do it. They wouldn't do it at the hospital. So while she was there, they said, you're going to be here for at least all day and probably most of the night or all night because we've had some heart attack patients come in by ambulance. Well, that's what's going on. It's the heart attacks. It ain't drug overdoses. It's drug induced, but it's not street drugs. It's now the heart attacks. Let's see. The number of deaths, businesses, bankruptcy, social impacts due to isolation, the fracturing of families, communities, erosion of fundamental charter rights merits a thorough and comprehensive investigation. Magnitude of these interventions demand a comprehensive, transparent, and objective inquiry into the appropriateness and efficacy of the measures imposed, said Manning, a former federal leader. We need to determine what worked and what didn't work and identify how we can respond better in the future. Normally, such inquiries would be commissioned by governments under the provisions of the Federal or Provincial Inquiries Act. However, commissioning an inquiry whose primary purpose is to investigate governmental response would mean that governments would be investigating themselves. I think that's what they do here anyways, isn't it? In the eyes of many Canadians, such a commission would lack the necessary credibility and integrity to have confidence that a proper investigation had taken place, hence the need and desire for a citizen-led inquiry. It's also being recognized that in a healthy and functioning democracy, citizens need to be more actively involved in contributing to and monitoring the actions of government. We have been, folks, for a few years. Many thousands of Canadians have expressed a desire to see such an inquiry conducted. A federally incorporated not-for-profit company, Citizens Inquiry Canada, has been established to receive and disburse funds needed to finance the inquiry. Current information on the inquiry is available at nationalcitizensinquiry.ca. I don't have that link because I wasn't planning on this. Including location and dates for the inquiry once established, and eventually a record of the testimony and recommendations. Sign the petition. Canadians are encouraged to sign the petition in support of the inquiry. Suggest the names of potential commissioners, and that would be nice. People get to pick the commissioners in whom they have confidence in their expertise and independence, and to donate funds to help finance the inquiry. To sign, go to the nationalcitizensinquiry.ca. It is anticipated that the inquiry will be launched in early 2023. Manning expects public hearings of 2 to 3 days. Each will be held in cities across the country, providing the opportunity for both virtual and in-person participation. Ordinary citizens and experts in various disciplines, medical, legal, social, and constitutional, will be invited to testify as to the impacts of the measures implemented by governments in the last 2.5 years. The inquiry will examine the consequences on public and personal health, rights and freedoms, and on specific demographic groups such as the aged and our children and the economy. Those testifying before the inquiry will also be asked for recommendations for how Canada's response in matters as this could be better managed in the future. A final summary hearing will be held in Ottawa, expected by the end of March 2023, with the inquiry commissioners issuing a report shortly thereafter containing their observations and recommendations. Well, we don't know. But there is something that come up here, was posted on one of the chat groups I'm on the other day. I found interesting. If I can find it, here it is. Okay, so the word is from the government that 93% of the hospital beds in this province, this is not what the government said. The government said that we were overrun, the hospital's overrun, and it's with flu cases, C19 cases, and RSV. But this came from, I'll put this out. Well, it's Stand for Freedom, but I'm not sure where they got this information. Hospital occupancy. 93% of the hospital beds are occupied for reasons other than the flu, RSV, or C19. This was from December 12th. There were 2,358 hospital beds occupied. 156 of them were for the flu or C19. There was no RSV, 0. 2,084 beds were occupied for other reasons. So, it says unless you have been living under a rock, you are aware that NB's healthcare system is failing, so no new information there. I'd like to say that officials are panicking, but that doesn't really seem to be the case. There are a few doctors speaking out, but the people who are actually in a position to effect change are radio silent. They're scared to say anything. Apparently, non-C19 deaths aren't a big deal. Not even when those deaths occur in the emergency room waiting area while waiting to be seen. We've had people dropping dead in the emergency room here. And they said, well, have you had any stats on that? And they said, well, no, we don't keep stats on that because it doesn't really happen that often, so we don't bother keeping stats on that. You'd think they'd keep the stats on any death that happened in the hospital. But no, it was an emerge. Well, that's why they were at emerge, because they figured they were on their way out. So they just sit there and die. And then they just brush it under the table. Nothing to see here, folks. We get the cadaver out of here very quick. Nothing to see. So anyways, the average annual hospital occupancy rates pre-C19, and this is from the acute care facility profiles. This is the average occupancy. 2014 was 105.2%. 2015-16, 95%. 2016-17, 96%. 2017-18, 95.5%. 2018-19, 97.7%. 2019-2020, 96, 2020, 2021, 80.2%. During this whole fiasco, the hospital beds, occupancy that they claimed were so high, they were actually going down. And the lies continued. Minister of Health is blaming it on the Liberals. Everyone's to blame except the people in charge. Flu testing has increased 1,626%. They're bound and determined they're going to find a case out there. Damn it, we're going to find a case. And we're going to keep testing all these people that have no symptoms until we can find something. And then we can say, aha, it's out there, you see. I'm not saying it's not. There's people that are sick. But these numbers are fudged. Good news, 70.3% of the flu tests were negative. 95.3% of the RSV tests were negative in week 48. Bye-bye, doom and gloom. We're doing great. I just seen that earlier. Where'd that go? Snow. Will there be some good news today? Here it is. The good news, 70.3% of the flu tests were negative. 95.3% of the RSV tests were negative. Bye-bye, doom and gloom. We're doing great. Yeah. Can we believe anything we're told these days by anybody in authority? It doesn't seem like it, does it? It's unbelievable. So, yeah, like I say, thinking about Rumble, going over there, we're going to have to, I'm going to have to put up a video. Maybe over Christmas I can put up a video. I don't plan on having a live stream next week. It's Christmas Day, and I've been invited for dinner. That's another long story. I was invited for dinner by a family member, one of three, that wouldn't have anything to do with me because I didn't go along with their shots. So now all of a sudden it's, well, maybe, we kind of like to have you. And it almost ties in with this article. And I'm sure you folks are probably pretty much on the same page as me in this. So that, I think, might have something to do with it. Right? Do you think? Really? Amnesty. Come on. Let's declare a pandemic amnesty. It's come under fire, as it well should. People who got it right for whatever reason may want to gloat. Those who got it wrong for whatever reason may feel defensive and retrench into a position that doesn't accord the facts. All this gloating and defensiveness continues to gobble up a lot of social energy to drive the culture wars. First of all, the people who got it right did the research, and it wasn't luck. A lot of data, the true science, was available for everyone to read. I gave it to them, and they wouldn't look at it. They said, we don't want to see it. Right. Whistleblowers in the medical industry were sharing their findings and presenting them to medical officials, government officials, police, general public, but nobody listened. Most people made a conscious decision not to hear them. And I was told that I don't want to hear it. And now I'm invited for dinner. I'll do a double dose of vitamin I for that before I get there. Choosing only to listen to the bought and paid for mainstream media, which they still do. There's evidence that media platforms work together with big tech, CDC, and the government. And it's clear that there was collusion to remove all counter-information. Anyone with questions or concerns about the acceptable narrative were shamed, fired, and/or canceled. So no, this should not be swept under the rug. So much harm was done and continues to be done to this day. Almost 3 years of coercion, muzzling of discordant voices, jobs lost, businesses shattered, millions of injuries, shot injuries, and deaths, and the shaming and division created among our friends, families, and neighbors. It is time that those who got it right get an apology. They should be apologizing to us, but they're not going to buck up and do it because it's not in their genetic makeup. It's also time that everyone pitches in and tries to stop the madness. Let's really try to be all in this together. It's time to move forward together in unity, armed with knowledge. Everyone needs to look at the evidence, acknowledge wrongdoing, make amends, and be the change we want to see. We do have to get together. We can't let them keep us divided, but we're not going to give them amnesty. They wanted us locked away or executed. Thankfully, there are some people with strong voices who agree. In October, Fox News reported the Premier of Alberta, Canada, Danielle Smith, said she is working on a plan to pardon residents who were fined or arrested over breaking protocols, and apologized to the Canadians about the shots who faced discrimination. While in New York, a Supreme Court judge recently reinstated all employees who were fired from their jobs for not getting the shots. The court found Monday that getting the shots does not prevent individual from contacting or transmitting. New York City Mayor Eric Adams claimed earlier this year his administration would not rehire employees who had been fired over their status. Del Bigtree spoke passionately about this on his show, The High Wire. The excerpt below is transcribed from his segment titled The Call for COVID Amnesty from episode 292 and explains the emotions people may be feeling. We don't believe in amnesty for those people. They're still out there walking around looking at us like we're the problem. These people just don't get it. Driving with their face cover on all by themselves in the vehicle, driving around. They're a hazard out there in traffic. They're saying that it's the ones without the shots. No. It's the other ones that are causing it. And that was all a failed study anyways. That was all just more smoke and mirrors. I think in some ways what's being asked of us is to forgive our families that banned us from the tables and we were mean to us and said they never wanted to see us or our children again. I'm dealing with that Christmas Day. I think forgiveness is a good thing, but in order to forgive, there's something that has to happen. Could you please articulate for me exactly what it is that we were supposed to forgive? You see, because I don't know. I don't know what you know and what you don't know and what you don't know that you don't know. I think that's important in this place of forgiveness. So what are we supposed to forgive? Are we supposed to forgive the fact that, you locked down, took away our jobs, our dreams of having a future? That in the process you destroyed our economy, not just in America, but around the world? Are we supposed to forgive that move? Are we supposed to forgive all the sanitizing and the spraying and the invasive destruction of our nasal passages as you tested us with a product that in itself couldn't even test properly? I never went through any of that. And how about all those that died and weren't treated right in hospitals and we couldn't even get to them to say goodbye? Our loved ones, our elderly, our aunts, our uncles, our mothers, our fathers. Instead, we were left outside and they were left alone. We couldn't go to a funeral. And how about all the suicides that took place and the child abuse and domestic abuse and drug abuse? We're turning our children into hypochondriacs. Are they going to forgive us for that? For destroying their education and putting them behind in reading and math? Are we forgiving all those for all those reasons, or will our children forgive us? And how about denying people transplants because they didn't want an experimental shot that might cause the very problem they needed a transplant for? And then the police brutality, attacking those people that were standing in their truth. They wanted to watch their child play in a sports event without face covering on because they knew, as we know, that they don't work. Should we forgive the president who promised us that he wouldn't force the shot upon us and then took away jobs from the military, police officers, frontline doctors, firefighters, leaving them with nowhere to go? And then the injuries, people suffering from all sorts of seizures that are unexplained? Being left in hospitals and the lies that were done by the pharmaceutical industry saying that these things never happen. And then those problematic shots, not only are they hurting people, but they're still being mandated on our children. Do we forgive while we continue to give this product to our innocent children that aren't at risk? And how many headlines of athletes crashing into the floor, unable to ever play a game, maybe did? Or all the people, the performers and the singers that can't get through a concert or can't do a concert any longer? This brand new normal, is this what we're supposed to forgive and forget and have amnesty for while it's happening right now? And most importantly, as you talk about the luck factor, I guess, well, if you got this right, you were lucky. Now I have to be very clear. We've said many times and shown you proof that we told you that they did not test whether or not they could stop transmission during the trials. This is now known to everybody, but we knew it because it was written in our emergency use authorization in the very beginning. We didn't get lucky. We were reading the science. When you were quoting experts, it ended up being liars. And they still are. CBC's still doing it every day. How about those doctors that weren't liars? How about the inventor of the technology. Did he get lucky? Did Robert Malone get lucky when he warned the world, I invented this technology and it's not being used correctly and it's going to cause serious harm? Really? The inventor. Did he get lucky? No. What he got was censored. He got shut down by the very people that we're being asked now to give amnesty to. Oh, how convenient. When I think about where Jimmy Kimmel stood in the middle of this, shall we forgive him for saying things like this? Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Those without shots, having a heart attack? Yeah, come on, right on in. We'll take care of you. That's ones with the shots. Ones without the shots, a guy who gobbled a horse goo, rest in peace, Wheezy. I mean, we still got a lot of pan dimwits out there. Right. I guess it's ironic that he said the guy without the shots having a heart attack, which is exactly what appears to be happening to the ones with them around the world. But if you don't have the shots and you have any need for the hospital, screw you. I want you to die. You know they're harsh words. We all need to unite more ever now. But if you're going to finally extend an olive branch to the people you shamed, those who got it right, then you need to first start by acknowledging that there was a moral failing. They had the evidence backing up what they said, and it wasn't just luck. No, it wasn't luck. Right now, I wouldn't go into the hospital because there's people going in. They're not coming back out. They're coming out feet first in a bag. So, and I've heard rumors that if they can get you in there and get you under, they're jacking you with the juice. So, they're still pulling this garbage. So I ain't going there. I don't think anybody else is. I see there's a new blood bank that's getting around worldwide. I posted this. See if I can find that. It shouldn't be too far back here. Where is it now? I'll just keep scrolling down through here and see if I can find this. It was quite interesting. The Safe Blood Foundation. The Safe Blood Foundation is it's safeblood.ch/en/ protects the future, protects humanity, protects our blood. They're trying to get this going now. A lot of different countries. Canada is included, but they're having trouble with Canada, of course, because, of course, they wouldn't want us to do anything right here, would they? No. They wouldn't want to help anybody out that didn't take those shots. No. You go to the hospital and then they'll look after you there. Once you get all 5. Already represented in 18 Western European countries in the USA, Canada, Australia, Asia, and various African countries. We now have members in more than 80 states worldwide, 41 of them in the US alone. Our American friends on here might want to check this out. Direct contact persons for individual countries can be found under About Us. I should get this out in an email to you folks, especially you folks in the U.S., because you've got a lot different medical system than we do here. We're under the communist medical system here, so odds of getting this through is going to be very slim, because even if we do, I don't know how they'd work it in the hospital. They'd say, oh, we don't want that pure blood in here. Get that out of here. You're going to contaminate our contaminated patients. So, and they don't want anything to do with the healthy people. Bill, they're not backing down, neither am I. No, we're standing tall and strong against all of this. Whether it's Bill C-11, Bill C-21, all of them. And they damn well know it too. And the people are restless. I've got people tell me, bring it on. They're just waiting. Who knows? It's a tinderbox. They're going to keep pushing until they get it to go, and then they can bring in the greenies with no ID, the UN troops, you know, the ones I mean they had up in Ottawa, the ones that were so brutal on the Canadian citizens that couldn't speak French or English. Yeah, those ones. They're probably still here in hotels someplace. We're paying for them. Probably they're sitting there waiting, living a good life, waiting for the word, or they're back wherever they came from, getting geared up to come back to Canada should the people ever speak out against the supreme leader again. Yeah. So, I think I covered a lot of stuff out of the Druthers. It's a good newspaper, good newspaper, yeah. There was what else? UNDRIP, how the government and the UN plan to take your property. That's a good article. I haven't got time to go over it. But yeah, UNDRIP is poison. Come out of the UN. Trudeau signed on to that right away, of course. Mike Guyver, they killed my son to try and stop me from teaching scripture and would not let me see him before he died. That's horrible. Just horrible, Mike. Tom Cornett, and come after children, they would be better off to tie a millstone around their neck and take a long walk off a short dock. You got that right. Yeah. Well, the kids are the target. They know a lot of us now. They're not gonna be successful with us. So I'm on Snow. I'm on a laptop. My other one died during the beginning of this whole fiasco in 2020, and I couldn't get a laptop of the same capacity, so I'm running a smaller laptop, and that could be part of my problems. Mike Guyver, I'm very sorry as well. My story's on my YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel there, Mike? Let us know. Pop it on there, and I'll have to okay it. So if you want to put it up there, you go for it. Yeah. Phil, John Horgan and UNDRIP signed BC over the natives. Yeah, that's what UNDRIP is all about, eh? That's worldwide. And I mean, politicians will sell their soul for a vote, but I mean, they'll sell out the whole country for a few more votes. They have no soul, no morals. And they flip-flop all the time. We'll see. Talk is cheap. We'll see when they get, if there's a change and they get in, if they're going to flip-flop. I would be surprised if they didn't. They'd probably flip on some things, and other things they'll say, well, we can't quite go all the way through with this. Phil, your 32-year-old son slowly getting worse from the AZ. Yeah. This is a long ways from over. This is going to be going on for the next few years. People dropping off. So, what a shame. They can't take your house before they take your hardware. They know it. That's not going to go over very good either. They think they're going to come door knocking. Nah, it's going to be a bloody mess what that's going to be. There's gun cutting. Right on. Who else? What's up here? Niagara Lake is Freemason capital, and they were the ones that did this to my son. Wow. I know BC is polluted. Mark of the Beast has been given the slow death. Yeah. It's funny, we had a really heavy wet snow here. It's still snowing. It started on Friday night and it's still snowing now, but I was out trying to clear that snow. I was using a blower with it, but more sirens. I'm thinking, those are heart attacks. All these ones that have just been, oh, it didn't affect me any. I got 3. It hasn't affected me. And they go out and grab a shovel and throw a few scoops off to the side. Next thing, they're face down the snowbank. Off to emerge. It's a one-way trip too, probably. Your YouTube channel is MacGyver. Okay. Well, just look it up. You can put the link on there if you want. Phil, you did your best to warn them. That's what's so sad. You try to warn people and they just didn't listen. I mean, I know a woman here that her 2 teenage boys, they were on the hockey team, and it was the end of the season. They were having a big get-together at the end, and they couldn't go because they didn't have shots. She didn't want them to get them. Teenage boys. What'd they do? They went out and got them just so they could go with their friends for the end of the season dinner and get together, eh? That's what they did to people. That's what they're still doing to people. So, it's terrible. No conscience. And you can't tell me that they don't know what they're doing. These healthcare professionals, the ones that walked away were the best of the best. The ones that stayed, they stayed for a paycheck, and they'll stick anything in you that they're told to get that paycheck at the end of the week. So, just following orders, just doing what I'm told. So, yeah. I can't believe we're still at this point. No, I think you're censoring the shit out of me. Hope you see this. I see it. I know. Who knows if this one will even stay up? I might get another hit. Who knows? But we're going over to Rumble. We got to move to Rumble. I got to get 51 subscribers on Rumble so I can do a live. So I'm going to put a video up on there. I'm going to make a 1 or 2 minute video. And all it's going to be is saying, let's get this going. Let's please subscribe. We'll get 51 subscribers and we can do our live streams over on Rumble. So, I think that's the only way out of it, to have a little more freedom of speech. Argor's one. I'm the only one in my family not poked. They tell me, now you were right. Well, good for you, but I'm the only one too, but I don't think I'll ever get that reply from any of them. There's no way. Funny thing was, the younger sibling and her husband, there's no way. They wanted to, they got to get it. They got the AZ as soon as it come out. They want to go to New Mexico in the winter for a couple of weeks holiday. So they rushed out and they got their double dose. What happened? The USA wouldn't recognize the AZ. So they couldn't go anyway. So they shot a bunch of crap into them and for nothing. So, right on, Snow. Hope we'll see you there. Yeah, it will be cross-Canada news. I'll stick with it so everybody can find me. I don't have the Rumble link yet, Captain Nobody. I was looking at it earlier before I come on here to see if I could. I've posted videos on there, so I thought I had a channel, but it said I don't have a channel. So I can't figure that out. I thought you had to have a channel to post videos. But anyways, I'll get that straightened out. MacGyver, another reason the older people are having heart attacks because they have been blocked up for a while and they went out and did too much. That's true. Yep. That happens every year. First snowfall, these heavy snowfalls, it takes out a lot of the older folks. I guess I'm falling into that category too. Phil, your wife got fired because of no shot, eh? Yeah. I've seen firefighters wrestled to the ground by the police for not having a face covering on at a protest, singled out. They knew the guy. He was a firefighter. You mean the police don't know the firefighters? Of course they do. They singled him out and tackled him and took him to the ground and marched him off in handcuffs. There's 2 they grabbed. Out of the whole protest, only 2. So they targeted them. I don't know if they've been to court yet. Most of these are being thrown out, but there's still something like 30 cases or something they want to hear. Why don't they just throw them all out? You know? So no, Rumble stream really nice. They've got it together now, Rumble, yeah. But that's the game plan anyways, to get over there. Then we can all hook up over there. And we can talk more freely until Trudy gets that C11 through, and then he's going to go after every platform. That's Canadian. We'll work around it, like with the anonymizer and everything. They're not that smart. They're not as smart as they think they are. The average Canadian, when it comes to intelligence, has got this government outgunned big time. It's like we're dealing with a bunch of spoiled little kids that just can't get their own way, so they keep throwing hissy fits and passing these new laws and stuff to try to control everybody, and people just ignore it, and we work around it, and wow. The process is the punishment, yeah. Reverend Jim Jones, Windows update in a few minutes for me. Be well off in the forbidden zone. You too, you take care, Reverend. Good seeing you here as always. Odaka 07 on Rumble. Yeah, we gotta ditch this one. It's funny, I seen one guy I watched there, he's from down in Tennessee, and he got a strike from 2 years ago. Somebody went through and dug through all his videos and they found something and they reported it, and he got a strike. Off for a week. All my videos have been privatized except for just a handful now. For that reason. Because they'll go back, they'll go right back, well, years to try to find something. Okay. What else we got here? I'll tell you, Marie Hill. Good to see you on here. I see there's going to be a bitterly cold snap coming down through Western Canada around Christmas Day. Right down into the U.S., even down to Texas. Even down to Texas. And Tennessee, East Coast a little bit. Up here it looks like we're not going to do too bad. I think this Friday it's supposed to be +7. So hopefully folks are prepared and put all your firewood in. I'm sure you do if you're running wood, or just I know it's going to cost a lot. We've been lucky here with the temperature. The heating bill's been fairly low. Let's see. Vast thinker. Remember, not everyone you see is a human. Remember what the Russian defense minister said. I don't remember that. If we told the people, they'd be shocked. Not everyone you bump into is human. This is not a movie. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes here that we don't know about, eh? -31 in Calgary. That's a pretty nice day there, isn't it, for Calgary? Below -30 for you. Gun cotton just before Christmas is going to get much colder there, generally. Snow minus, just like same as last Christmas night, -40 for 4 days. You're out in the prairies too, eh? Yeah. Plant Boy minus 25 in PG. Minus 32 on the 21st. Yeah, it's just starting to come down through there. I watched Ryan Hall. He's an American weather forecaster. He's actually good. He's the best. He doesn't cover Canada except when it's something like this is going on. And it's coming down from the Arctic, of course. So he's a lot more accurate than Environment Canada. They were calling for 30 centimeters here, and we got 7. But it's still snowing. So there's still more can come down. 0 in the Big Smoke. You're getting a vast thing. You're going to get a bunch of snow there, aren't you? Phil, thaw in January here as usual. Yeah, we get a January thaw here too. It's pretty much guaranteed. Minus 7 for Christmas Day and PG. That's not too bad. Yeah, you can't even believe Environment Canada. They're so far off. So we'll all make it through. Fortunately, I don't have to buy a turkey. I have to go into the bank and get a loan. I think they're around $80 or $70 or something for a freaking turkey now. So Cap nobody -2 in flurries. That's nice. Snow on the ground. On Vancouver Island. You're out on the island, eh? Next 3 days. Might have a little white Christmas. Yeah, well, I hope everybody has a decent Christmas, you know. Everybody deserves at least one day of the year to kind of relax, try to forget about everything. And that's what I've been trying to do, just trudge along here, but I'm always got my ear to the ground to see what the heck's going on. There's so much stuff is going on behind the scenes in the government here. We have no idea what they're up to, what they're cooking. So, I mean, every day. And I watch a lot of channels on YouTube, and the cost of living, cost of food, and the availability of food and stuff like this, right? It's getting pretty scary. When the government starts telling you, well, you better grab some extra food, you know, because you might get hungry. There's a bit of a problem with the supply chain, and there's a lot of crop failures, so maybe you want to buy a few extra things. That's strange for the government to tell you that. So they're not, when they say that, it means like buy lots, buy lots, because they'll never give you the straight up information. So after Christmas, I'll get my little lettuce and spinach garden going in the windowsill here with the lights, and be ready for that. Ready, set, go. Everybody knows be ready, and we're Canadians. We're born ready. Remember, weather weapons, rolling blackouts across the U.S. Just be ready. There's lots going to happen. Lots going to happen this winter. So, Phil, send me an email, your mailing address. I have a hand-drawn Christmas card for you. Well, that's very nice of you. I watched your videos, Phil. And the videos that were sent to me, Thinker, Phil, I've watched most of the videos that came in through the week. Some of them I haven't got to. It could be the length or something, I don't know, but I'm going to have some time over the next week. Faye. That's weird. Going to Lancaster Box today, see my youngest son, my 2 grandsons. They're renting my old house of 35 years. So, stoke that stove cap, nobody. Don't let the fire go out. Coach, put my lasagna in for 30 minutes and 5 minutes on broil to brown my cheese. Oops, I put it on high instead of low. Broil, I caught it just in time to be having a big piece tonight. Yeah. Well, where are we at here? I think we're getting, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to try to get a little 1 or 2 minute video up there on Rumble. And when I do get that accomplished, I will send the link out. And that will be to subscribe to the channel so we can get our 51. And then we can jump on Rumble. Adapt 2030 channel, I watch them. David Dubai. So anyways, folks, have a wonderful Christmas, and I hope the week between Christmas and New Year's finds you all healthy and well, and get back on here for, it would be January 1st, New Year's Day. And I hope you're all you're not too overhung for New Year's Day. I think we kind of got that under control these days. But anyways, like I say, you guys have a great Christmas and a great week, and we're going to do it again. Get ready. We're going to be, next time I see you and we all get together, it's going to be 2023. That's scary. Okay, folks, thank you very much for joining in on the live stream. It was awesome to see you all on here. So you take care, and see you in 2023. Bye for now, and God bless.